Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the stream. We have the SPY popping up to start the day. Tom, we're getting really close to all-time highs. It looks like we are set for another interesting morning. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Welcome, Click, Matthew, David, and Hunter. Thank you guys so much for joining. Tom, we have the SPY very close to all-time highs. What are your thoughts heading into this morning?
Yeah, man, this inflation data hit 5%, which was higher than expected. But like a lot of people thought, this sent the market going to the upside, which was pretty insane. And we're hitting right around those all-time highs on the SPY. If I go to that 180-day 4-hour, you can see the all-time high is at 423.59. And we're kind of hovering right around 423 right now as the market opens. And man, I'm hoping that when the market opens, the SPY just runs up and hits all new highs. That way, all these calls and stuff can keep going up. It's unfortunate for the puts if anybody, of course, has those. But, anyways, there was a big risk with that inflation coming out. And a lot of times that data hurts the market. Sometimes it helps the market. And this time, apparently, they're saying it's transitory. And it was kind of expected. So it did make the market go up. And hopefully the SPY can hit all-time highs today with this type of momentum that we're seeing, into market open. If we see the market open and SPY just tanks off, that's going to be a pretty unfortunate thing, but hopefully we can see it go up right now at market open, and we'll see some green come into the market hopefully, and SPY will hit new highs because, man, people have been just waiting for this for the past like 5 days. You can just see SPY's just been totally flat, just waiting for some type of catalyst to push and break out.
Yeah, I know Powell has been consistently saying that he expects inflation to be transitory. So, if it is like that, then the market should be totally fine. But if this high inflation, keeps, if it stays high and it goes even higher, that can definitely be a bad sign. But I know that right now we do have a lot of upwards positive momentum flowing into the market. But if we take a look at a stock like Airbnb, they are really tanking off this morning. They're down all the way down to like 142. They're down around 1.5%, and they're bouncing right off support at 141.
Yeah, for sure. This stock has just gotten destroyed. And, with the market going up this morning, I would have kind of expected Airbnb to kind of go up as well. But it's just unfortunate to see a stock like this still kind of, at least going down today. It's just unfortunate because you would think that, like, with the economy recovering and everything like that, that Airbnb would do well. But I guess we're just going to have to see how the movement continues over the next couple of months. There's still a huge support down here at $130, and we're still 12 points away from there. So the drop isn't too drastic yet, but once we get down to like $130, it's going to be pretty worrisome.
All right, and then we have Vicky saying, good morning. Let's check out Boeing. So Boeing is up around 2% today. It's coming very close to that resistance, right around like 253, and then right after 253, the next major one is at 255, but so far this morning, it is doing extremely well. It bounced great off that support right at 248, but overall, this is definitely a stock to keep on our radar for the rest of the day. It definitely has a lot of positive momentum flowing into it.
Yeah, it does. And with that SPY going up, all it does is just help Boeing. And I think it's going to help a lot of these stocks today possibly really start to fly up. And let's go look at Boeing on the daily. There's been a huge resistance here, like right around 260, 257. And hopefully we can like break out above that on a daily level. And we'll start to see, I think, a pretty good move out of some of these stocks like Boeing, and especially the airlines in general, like CCL, AAL. I know a lot of people have been waiting for these to kind of go up, and hopefully the market pushing up the new highs will help these stocks move.
For sure. So if we take a look at CCL and AAL, they're both technically up today. Like AAL is up around 1%, but it's kind of selling off right at open. If we take a look at CCL, they're up around, you could say, just under 1%. So hopefully they can continue up. Hopefully they can. CCL is getting pretty close to that support again, right at like $30.40. But either way, they are both definitely on my radar. Guys, let us know what stocks you're watching. Tom and I will cover them. Let us know what stocks you're watching or looking to buy or whatever, and we'll make sure to cover them on the stream. But right now, it looks like, as Vicky pointed out, that Boeing is going to be the top stock right now. It really just has a lot of momentum compared to all the other tickers.
Yeah, it does. I wonder how like Tesla is looking. Yeah, Tesla's even starting to rip up too. So hopefully a lot of these stocks that have kind of been consolidating for the past few days are going to start ripping. And man, hopefully it's a good catalyst. Like I said, with the SPY going up, hopefully it can help a lot of these stocks. And man, yesterday we saw Tilray going up, and today Tilray is it took a little bit of a beating at open, and now it's just kind of sitting there in the middle of its range. So Tilray was looking really hot yesterday. Today, it's not looking quite as hot. We're just going to have to see how it goes at open, but hopefully it can kind of hold this $21 support and kind of go back up. But yeah, Tilray just is not looking the best right now at open, but later in the day, I think if it passes above like 21.75, it might be a good option.
All right, and then we have Jerry saying Goog is popping. It definitely is. I mean, you look at that intraday, it really is a huge green candle right now. Even on the daily chart, it looks like this is their all-time high right now. So, yeah, it's definitely exploding. And if I remember correctly, Michael Burry, while he bought puts on Tesla, he also bought calls on Google and then Facebook. So if we take a look at both of those stocks, they're lingering right around their all-time highs. And then you look at Tesla, they're kind of just, they're not like crashing, but they're definitely a good amount off from their all-time highs. So, it's just interesting data, but Google is definitely exploding.
Yeah, I actually am really curious if Michael Burry is still holding that short position on Tesla. I think that would be a very big deal if he is. And if he's not, I would like to know that. But of course, we're going to have to wait until that filing comes out. But hopefully he's still holding it, because Tesla is down below that trend. And who knows, like hopefully Tesla, I love Tesla. Hopefully they rip up. But if Michael Burry's still short, then I would honestly still be bearish on it, just given what he knows, because you would think he knew something then.
Right, for sure. And then we have girls saying, can we check out Tilray? So let's check it out. Tilray, I know we were just talking about it. Tilray is down a little bit right now, but it's still holding its ground. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's just tanking off. It is trying to bounce off that support around $20.50. But one thing I want to point out with like a stock like Tilray is just the whole marijuana industry slash sector in general is extremely volatile. And it kind of works in like a couple week to a couple month trends. We saw Tilray basically do nothing but go straight up from, you could say, January 5th all the way up to December 10th, right? And then from not December 10th, February 10th, I should say. And then from February 10th down to basically right now, it's just been tanking off. So it kind of just like works in these like couple month to a couple week trends. And in my opinion, I think that there's a good chance that we see it come back up along with a lot of other MJ stocks like KRON and maybe even CGC. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I mean, either way, it's definitely on my radar. And the reason I say this is because, if you're playing calls on Tilray that expire in 5 months, like you really shouldn't like get too worried about this type of like morning chop.
Yeah, definitely. If you have time, it's not a big deal. And that's why we get time. Whenever you have time, it allows for some of this chop and movement to occur before the rise. So honestly, I think if you got time, it's a great idea. If you have a Tilray option that expires this week or in a couple of weeks, you're probably going to be down quite a bit this morning on that. But that's just because of the expiration, of course. And time always matters. And that's why it costs a lot more to get time, obviously.
For sure. And I would say a very large majority of the time, it is worth that extra capital to just buy like a nice quality contract that has time. And Tom, it looks like the market just broke all-time highs. It's soaring up.
Yeah, it did. The SPY is all the way up to 424.26 with an amazing move off of that inflation data. Looks like that this is the type of catalyst we needed to finally break out to all-time highs, which is amazing, honestly. So hopefully the SPY can keep running up today. It looks like it will. It moved off of some key SMAs early in the morning, and we're still seeing stocks like Boeing and others just straight up ripping up this morning. If I go to my watch list on the left side of my chart, Apple is red. So that's kind of strange to see, but we have a lot of stocks green, like AAL, Triple M, Wells Fargo. Banks were killing it today. They love that inflation news. Caterpillar doing pretty good as well. Facebook, Walmart, ARKK, ARKX, both doing pretty good. So hopefully, like we've been saying, the SPY is going up off of this inflation news. The market seems to really like it. And hopefully like this can just keep pushing these stocks up. And I really like how the banks are showing a strong sign. Well, I should say they were showing a strong sign. They're starting to sell off now, but early in the morning they were ripping, and at market open they were ripping. But it's weird to see JP Morgan just kind of, especially with the SPY like really ripping up. It's weird to see these banks now starting to turn down to the downside.
For sure. And then we have, so I know you mentioned Apple is kind of like flat or not really doing anything. It looks like they're getting closer to trying to pop, but Microsoft is doing pretty well this morning, up around 1%. NIO is doing pretty well, up around right around 1%. But CLF is kind of on a tear. It looks like it is just straight up exploding. It's up around 6% so far, and it's just really popping up. So definitely keep an eye on that one. But then we have Corbin saying, "Morning, welcome back, Mike. What do you guys think of GLD and Twitter?" Well, thanks for that great comment, Corbin. And let's take a look. So GLD, I like it for like the next couple months. Like this is probably like a 6-month outlook, or probably even more, to be honest with you. So I like it in that regard. I found that GLD is pretty hard to trade short term. There's a lot of gaps in the chart, and it's just a pretty tough stock to trade for the short term. So I like it, but like for like a couple months out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good also with inflation, because the inflation going up usually helps gold out, because people like to, obviously get rid of that cash and buy gold, buy different commodities, buy stocks, of course. So I think that that'll help gold out if we keep seeing inflation up. But a weird thing is that gold isn't really necessarily flying up today off of that inflation news. So it's a little bit of a worry to me. GLD also hit off of a 180 resistance, which was pretty big as well. And overall, the gold sector can be kind of tricky sometimes, especially like with this inflation data. So be a little careful. It could make gold go down since the overall market is flying up, and that's a little bit of a concern to me. But I think gold will do good though, as long as inflation keeps going up and maybe stay steady for the next couple months.
All right, and then also we have to check out Twitter. I know we were looking at them for a gap fill setup, and they are running up. They're not really doing anything over like the past couple days. Technically, they are up today, but what are your thoughts on this one, Tom? I know you were watching it a lot more than I was.
Yeah, they were moving pretty good yesterday. Finally broke out above $60 and ran up. This morning, they're looking pretty decent, honestly, off of some of these bottom SMAs, which is good. Hopefully they can keep holding these levels like around 59.50. I think it'll do pretty well. There isn't necessarily any huge catalyst coming out like with Twitter or with any of the tech stocks besides the inflation. So we're just going to kind of have to see how this ends up playing out. But with the overall market, with the overall market ripping up, I think that Twitter will still do decent. And guys, for anyone holding Twitter calls or anything like that, whenever you're looking at it on a daily chart and you're looking at these moves up and down, keep in mind that there is always going to be some red days mixed in there. So like kind of like we're seeing with like some choppy movement over the past couple of days, that's not the worst thing to still see. And there's still a pretty big gap to fill somewhere up to around like $63 or $64. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks, we still see that good move. And there has been a pretty good confirmation off of this trend line as well. But it's just going to really depend on how Twitter reacts to this inflation data, I think, because so far this morning, it hasn't reacted in the best way so far.
All right, and then we have Andrew asking about X. This stock is also popping. It's up around 4%, Tom, and their like yearly chart looks really solid, like a really nice slow and steady uptrend. It has some pullbacks, which are good to see. It's healthy and normal for that to happen, but it looks like they're getting pretty close to their all-time high, or at least I should say their yearly high. What do you think?
Yeah, I honestly like it. The price of steel is going up. I feel like I've said inflation 50 times already today, but but the price of steel has really been going up lately, and that's going to help the company X, which is US or United States Steel or US Steel. So hopefully we can see this go back up and retest that high of $30, like you said, at that yearly high. If we break 30, I think it could start to really run, and it's moving very well off of some of these trend lines. And we've been talking about it a lot, and it just seems like over the past year, it's just had these very steady stair steps to the upside. And like we were talking about, it was kind of like at the bottom of a step as it was touching that trend line. And it looks like it's just starting to step back up now. And like we're going to break out above $30, especially with that news coming out today.
Yep, so I misspoke. It is not, yeah, it's not their all-time high. But like you said, it is their yearly high. Their all-time high is all the way up there at like 196 back in like 2007. So it really just exploded like what is that, like 14 years ago now. So yeah, it is
Yeah, and you know what? That was actually high inflation doing that too back in the day. So hopefully it can start to rip up like that again.
So yeah, I mean it really just fell a lot from its all-time high. So either way, it will be on my watch list. And then we have Shelby saying CLNE. Let's check it out. CLNE is tanking right now, down around 10%. Intraday, it looks pretty scary. Its next major support isn't until like $11, so I'd be really careful with this one.
Yeah, this is not good. Over the past few days, people have been really hyping up CLNE. So, not a good sign to see it down today. It's down below a lot of the key SMAs that it's been holding the past couple of days as well. With the key one being the red 1000, you can see it bounced off of it yesterday like 3 or 4 times intraday and just went up every single time it touched it. And today, right at market open, it touched those SMAs and is flying now to the downside. So, not a good sign. But one thing to keep in mind is that with the overall market starting to fly up, that might take some money out of some of these hype stocks. And we might start to see some of the hype stocks come down now that the overall market's flying up, just because of people obviously maybe are closing some of these positions and getting into maybe some of the overall market.
All right. And then we have Shelby also asking about Palantir. So let's check out Palantir. We can see it's up. It's not doing anything today, but it is making a good rebound from its lows back in May. I know a lot of people love this stock, including myself. But yeah, I mean, they're lingering right around that $24 level. They're not tanking. They're not popping. They're literally just doing nothing. I like them for the long term, but for the short term, anything can really happen.
Yeah, anything can happen. And if we look at that daily, it's still looking decent. We are hitting off of like right off resistance around $25, which is a pretty bad sign in the short term. I like this stock for the longer term, but honestly, we went pretty much straight up from $17 all the way up to 25. So I'm not surprised to see these little pullbacks right now. I think that we will break out of this eventually. The question is just how much consolidation are we going to have before we see that big move, I think.
All right. And then we have, let's see, we have Jay saying, any thoughts on Moderna? Let's check it out. mRNA is also popping up. It's really close to its all-time high. I like it for a momentum play. I definitely would not get this for like a swing or like a long-term hold right now. In my opinion, it just looks pretty overextended. It has support right around like 150 to even 160. And in my opinion, it's just too overextended, especially on this daily chart where I would only do it for like a quick short-term trade.
Yeah, me too. And while you were gone, there was a lot of people asking about Moderna as well. And I don't know if there's exactly a huge catalyst with them. I think the FDA approved one of their drugs or something like that is what the catalyst was. But yeah, it looks very good today. Like Mike said, I would just treat it as a momentum play. It's getting a little bit overextended. It could keep running up. Like who knows? It might run up to 250 before it finally comes back down. But it's just so overextended that, for example, you can see in the past when they get like this, sometimes they just have a pretty big turn to the downside. And even if it came down and retested the $200 support or retested like 190, it would still be a really good level for the stock. Even if it started to fall, the thing would still be up quite a bit over the past year.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. True that. And then we have Vicky saying, pins, please. PINS is doing good so far. It's not great. It is doing good, though. I'm just pretty neutral on this one. Tom, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, this is a little bit of a weird setup to me. Look at these like little dojis on the daily chart here. That dojis, that's a little bit of a weird word to say, but yeah, it seems like it's just been consolidating here right above this $65 support. And one thing I want to point out is that it's kind of similar to over here in the past. Keep in mind, these were almost like bullish hammer type of setups, though. What worries me is that these they were having, for example, the closing and opening prices were at the bottom of the candle, which is not the best of sign, but at least it's still green. And hopefully with the consolidating at $65, which has been a huge support in the past, like it's hit off of it a ton of times. I think it could easily still start to go up later in the week or or maybe next week. But as of right now, I think it's just kind of consolidating here, just kind of like waiting for a pop, or we're just waiting for a solid breakout here up above 68.
All right, and then we have, let's see, we have Corbin saying the 61 calls for Twitter is my position for June 25th. Very good. And then we have Mario saying AMC is running. Let's check out AMC. I haven't really looked at it too much today. Yeah, it's popping back up. It's not really doing anything, honestly, like on the daily. It's doing good this morning, but the biggest thing with AMC, as we've said many, many, many times, is this implied volatility. AMC, like if you want to make a bet on AMC right now that it'll rise or fall, like you're still gonna have to pay a crazy premium because the IV is at 271%. So like there's a very good chance that you lose money whether the stock goes up or down. And even if we go to this weekly options chain, like right now a lot of the out of money calls are down anywhere from 2% all the way up to like 20% almost, and then the puts are down anywhere from 17% all the way up to like 50%. So just be very careful playing these options on AMC because IV is extremely high.
Yeah, I actually have the options chart pulled up on AMC right now, and this is for the calls expiring this week, the 51 strike calls, and you can see how volatile it's been. Yesterday they closed for around $4.25. That would equal to $425 per contract. Opened up this morning at $320, ran all the way back up to $470, and now it's consolidating at $400. So definitely going to be volatile for these options, of course.
And then another thing, Tom, is like it's not like you just picked an option that's like $10 out of the money. Like that is an at the money option, and it's still that volatile. So great point there. Just please be careful with these AMC options, or not. It's not even just AMC. It's just any stocks with high implied volatility. We have Matthew saying check out AMD. Let's check out AMD. It is doing good right now. It's up around 1% today. I like them for the long term right now, and I'm thinking about selling some puts on them or maybe even grabbing some shares.
Yeah, me too. I love AMD for the longer run. It is sitting below some of these SMAs, which is a little worrisome. And some of these semiconductor stocks have been taking inflation as a bad way lately because they have to pay a lot more for some of their parts and stuff like that. But I think it'll do good in the longer term. And like Mike said, selling puts right now on this, I think would be the best way to go, especially if you could get good premium somewhere around like the $75 support. I think that would be a really good strike to go for.
Tom, what do you think of Apple this morning? We have the SPY popping up, and Apple's just been lagging the overall market for a couple months now, but looks like it's having a pretty good day.
Yeah, I think it might finally be time for Apple to go to the upside. We've been just consolidating for like a month almost around this $122 support area. And it looks like we're going to finally see a good breakout maybe over the next few days, which is going to be fantastic. They tried to run up earlier this week while you were gone, Mike, and then just came right back down. And I don't know if you heard about this, but they had a little bit of an event on Monday. It wasn't a huge event, of course. It didn't even really move the stock at all until Tuesday morning, and then it just came right back down. But it's awesome to see Apple moving. I think that we'll finally start to see Apple maybe come back up and retest this $140 resistance over the next couple of weeks. And I love Apple, and I think that they're going to do great, especially if the overall market starts ripping. And if we start seeing SPY on the daily, for example, start to really break out up above these highs and maybe come up to 440 and start to just really, go steadily to the upside, it's going to really help out Apple, Microsoft, and all those tech stocks that have just been kind of consolidating for like the past year. Like you can see Apple ever going back to like August of last year or the beginning of September last year. They've just been sitting between like the $140 and the $120 range. So they've just been pretty much in between a 20-point range for almost a whole year now. So hopefully they can start to break out. And it's been pretty crazy for Apple. A lot of people would have expected it to keep hitting new highs with the SPY, but it just wasn't doing it for that year.
All right, and then we have Jerry saying over 100% on Goog calls. There we go, Jerry. I mean, it looks like you definitely sniped that setup. Awesome job there. But Jerry, let me know if you see any big time sweeps. Like I know I've been gone for a couple days, so let me know if you see any big time sweeps. I know we were talking about it a little bit yesterday, but I definitely like to check out the sweeps, and I know you pointed out those GLD ones, and I'm checking those out. But let me know if you see any other notable sweeps. And then with the next comment, we have R saying thoughts on TIGR. I'll let you cover it.
TIGR up fintech. Honestly, this stock looks pretty crazy. Looks like it double topped up here around 28.90. Going out on the daily, wow, this stock has really recovered up from $14 all the way up to 28. It's up 100% from from this bottom level down here around May 13th. So within the past month, it's went up, like I said, about 100%. So that's a pretty huge rise out of a stock like this. I wouldn't be surprised if it started to consolidate. And it's pretty unfortunate to see it going red today with this good news. And it is kind of double topping, but just keep in mind, it's up 100% over the past month. So if it does come down like even 10 to 25%, it's not going to be the worst situation for it.
Alrighty, and then we have Russ saying AMD and AMC looking nah bad. So yeah, I mean, I like AMD for the long term. AMC, you just have to be careful with those options. Really any stock when IV is high. Then we have Kathy saying Wish ran up a couple days ago and has not done a thing since. What do you think? So Wish, yeah, it's not really doing anything. I know it pulled back yesterday, but it's just been like lingering right around that support at like, you can say like $10 to $12. What are your thoughts on this one, Tom? Like I know you saw the run up. I was definitely a little late for it, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the run up was really just a single day move, and it was just getting really big. This was the day that Wendy's and CLOV were popping as well. So I don't know if it was just everybody on Wall Street Bets trying to find the next AMC or what was going on, but it definitely popped up, and it looked initially like it was going to be a huge short squeeze before it started to pull back. And I think as long as it can possibly hold like the $10 or $11 support, like you said, I think it'll be a pretty good play maybe for the next few days. But the thing is it has to hold these supports. If it doesn't hold, then it's not going to be a good way to go. And another problem, we've been talking about the implied volatility, like if this stock just goes flat or consolidates, that's going to kill those options. So honestly, I don't think it's the best thing in the world for options. If you wanted to maybe get some shares of it and try to play it that way, I think that's a lot smarter of a way to go, especially since if it goes from like $11 to $17, you'll be up like 50% anyways on shares alone. So I think that there's good opportunities. Just keep in mind that you're going to have to really fight that volatility right now. And I think the best way to do that is just to possibly get shares if you do think it's going to go up.
Alrighty, and then we have, we have Matthew asking about the Nasdaq. So I would expect them to be popping up as the SPY is. And yeah, wow, QQQ has a really strong candle on that daily chart. Yeah, it's just exploding. There's a lot of buyers in the market today, which is good. And then, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of positive momentum flowing in. But then we have Matt saying, is VIAC a good call? VIAC. It's dipping down, but good long-term hold, question mark. So I like it for like a swing trade. I mean, it's not my favorite stock for like a long-term hold. I like DraftKings, Enphase, Neo, and Redfin a lot more for like long-term plays, but I definitely like it for a medium-term swing trade. And then we have Gerard saying thoughts on Boeing to the downside. Let's check out Boeing. I know it was like one of the top moving stocks earlier this morning. I mean, talk about a reversal, Tom. I was not expecting this. It was exploding up, and now it's kind of tanking down. Like, I don't know. I personally, I wouldn't buy puts on it. But Tom, do you have a different thought process?
I don't think I'd be buying puts on it either. And my main reasoning is it's still above a lot of these technicals, and it's still above that $250 support that it bounced off of a ton over the past few days. I love it. It's still up above a lot of these SMAs, and it's above that support, like I said. So I think it's going to be pretty good. I think this might just be a little bit of a morning pullback for it. I still think it might go back up later on today or something like that. And whenever we look at the 180-day 4-hour chart, it's been really consolidating here around this 259, 200, anywhere between like 257 to 260 has just been a huge consolidation level for Boeing. And I think that like with the SPY starting to pop up and everything like that, I think it'll finally start to make Boeing, break back out to the upside. So we'll just have to see how it goes and how the overall market continues to move. Like if we start seeing the SPY really tank off or something, which I don't think we will, but I think that's whenever we'll see Boeing really go to the downside. And with like the overall market going up, I could just see Boeing continuing to go up. And even if it doesn't continue up today, I think that over the next few days, the couple of weeks, it'll be going up.
All right, and then we have Sean saying took a loss on Roblox, got a juicy day trade for me. So Tom, let's do some scanning real quick. So I was looking at Apple for a potential day trade to the upside for calls, and I was also looking at Zoom for a potential day trade to the upside for calls. So yeah, ZM and then AAPL. Those are just like two potential plays right now. I would not say, like, in my opinion, they're not 10 out of 10 setups, at least right now. But, keep in mind the market has only been open for 30 minutes. So, like, we should definitely see more setups throughout the day. Yeah, but Zoom and Apple are my favorite right now. If I see any other, like, really good ones during the stream, I'll make sure to post them. And then don't forget, like, the bot will post a play. The hybrid bot will post a play at least one during the day. So definitely be on the lookout for that that play with the bot. But yeah, I'll definitely be scanning for you. Tom, did you see any things that you love?
Yeah, I'm actually scrolling through like my watch list right now, just looking for some good setups. And honestly, I'm surprised to see how many of these stocks are kind of down right now with the overall market flying. I'm kind of surprised to see like a lot of these stocks are just barely up, like I would have expected to see like a lot of like 1%ers, 2%ers. We're just seeing a lot of like 0.2 moves, 0.5% moves, stuff like that. But like you said, Apple has been the main one that I've been watching today. Honestly, you might be able to get some good day trades out of things like GLD, SPY, possibly VXX, different things like that today. VXX puts obviously, but I think that there's going to be lots of opportunities maybe for some of those indices like the SPY. Facebook might do pretty well today as well. Everything with tech seems like it's done decent so far today as well. The big thing is like Caterpillar isn't looking very good today, and a lot of those like Dow stocks that have been running aren't looking very good. Triple M though is up a lot today, which is a good thing to see. So maybe Triple M will be a decent one, but honestly, Apple has just been the main one that I've been seeing really have a solid intraday chart. I think that's about the only one I've been watching. It is kind of consolidating at this 128 resistance now, but I think later on today we might start to see another rip.
All right, and then we have Mike saying SOS coming up with crypto. Let's check it out. SOS, yeah, I mean, it was coming up. Now it's tanking off a little bit intraday. It was all the way up to like 430. Now it's all the way down to like 407, you can say. It's still up around 4%, which is good. I mean, it's not a play for me. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, it's not for me.
Yeah, me either. It's definitely a crazy stock. I think it could go up. It's going to have it's a very high risk, high reward setup. So even though it's very risky, you could make a ton of money on it, if you catch it at the right time. Personally, though, I don't even know what they do fundamentally. I just know it's been a pretty big hype stock. And I would definitely just be a little careful with it over the next few days, especially with like day trading options and stuff like that, or swinging them. But I think that like if you want to grab shares and hold them for the longer term, it might be okay if they still continue up like over the next year. But it's just going to be definitely a very volatile, very crazy stock. You can see in the past, they rose from like 121 up to 15, all the way back down to like $3. So it's good. It's definitely going to be a mover.
All right, and then we have, well, welcome back, Justin. Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for the great comment. And then we have Hunter saying Netflix doesn't look so hot on the daily. Hunter, I was looking at this one. I was thinking about selling puts on it, but I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings about it. Let me know what you think, because it's at support right now, and I bet premiums are okay. IV is a little low. I don't know. Let me know what you think about selling puts on it. Like, let's say I go out to June 18th, and let's say I go to the 450 strike. Like, that's about $70, which isn't bad. But then again, that's only the 450 strike. So I don't know. Let me know what you think, Hunter. I'm definitely thinking about it. Then we have Sean saying MU for a day trade after the beatdown. Let's check it out. MU, Yeah, it's not bad actually. I like it to the upside. It's not my favorite setup, but I think it's good overall. Just watch out for that resistance right around that like $81 area. It looks like it had struggle with that. It had problems with that area in the past.
Yeah, and I think if he's talking about a day trade or something, I think it might be a better way to go than swinging this one. Honestly, if you're going to swing it, I think you'd have to get a lot of time, like leaps or something. Inflation's helping the market right now, but it's hurting some of these semiconductor stocks, and the reason for that is that it's making the cost of their parts go up so much that they really can't compensate for that in the shorter term. So I think that we're just going to have to wait and see kind of how they play off this news, because those past couple of days out of MU showed that there was definitely some fundamental reasons why they fell. And I think that going forward, you have to be really careful, like Mike said, of number one, that $81 resistance today. But then also like with inflation going up, like, yeah, it's helping the overall market. It's helping a lot of other stocks. People say it's going to help banks a ton, but it's probably not going to help these semiconductor stocks. So just be very careful with it. They've had a very bad past couple of days, and I would just be very wary of that, because going forward, it could definitely be a bad sign. I think that there's better ones to get out there, like maybe like AMD or like Intel, possibly, if you want one for the longer term. Intel honestly has a ton of growth potential. If they go back up to highs, that's going to be a pretty big pop out of them, and they have a pretty big gap to fill, honestly. So personally, I would go with like AMD, Intel. I wouldn't go with NVDA just because of how much they're up right now. If it wasn't for that split, though, I would be getting NVDA also.
All right, and then we have Vicky asking about MU. So yeah, we just covered it. And then with the next comment, we have girl saying, "Thank you. Can we see how NIO is doing today?" So NIO is holding its ground. It's not tanking. It's not popping. I like it for the long term. For the short term, I'm really considering selling puts on it. NIO normally has some pretty good premiums. In worst case scenario, you just buy and hold the shares for the long term. NIO is a pretty good stock for selling premiums because IV is relatively high. And then another thing is that it's a relatively low price stock too. So like if you sold like the 35 strike put, you only need 3,500.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. It only takes $3,500, and that's pretty far away from where we're at right now at $42. I'd be really happy to have shares of NIO at 35 again. So honestly, I think that's a great point there, Mike. That's a great put to sell.
And then another thing, like just with premium selling, it's like that strategy isn't going to make you rich. It's like a slow and steady strategy. I know some people are like, oh, you're only getting $20 for a let's say $3,500 requirement for a week. Like one, like it's a very high annualized return, but two, like it's a slow and steady strategy, and in my opinion, it's very safe if you do it correctly. So I just wanted to throw that in there. NIO is definitely one of the top stocks for premium selling. And then we have Smokey saying holding Apple call options. There we go. Spacely saying hit the like button, guys. There we go, Spacely. Like buttons, or hitting the like button, really helps grow the channel. Thank you guys so much for coming out to the stream. Then we have Kay saying Etsy looks like it's due for a leg up question mark. So Etsy is, yeah, I can definitely see it. I can definitely see that. And thank you for pointing that out. I actually might sell puts on this one.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad. I don't know what kind of strike you're looking at for those puts, but there's definitely a big long-term support down here at $140. I honestly couldn't see it hitting that. 160 is another support. So there's some good levels to look out for, for the longer term if you are looking to sell some puts.
All right, and then with the next comment, we have R saying also ASO holding the 45 strike call option for 7.6. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's not my favorite setup. It's not bad though. It's just like a nice slow and steady uptrend. What do you think about this one?
ASO, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Academy Sports at $41. Man, I cannot believe how much they've been ripping up, honestly, the past year or so. This is pretty good. They IPO'd down there at 12. Personally, I think that they're getting a little bit overextended, but at the same time, they might still keep ripping up. It seems like it seems like a pretty crazy setup. Honestly, personally, I would not be going like all in up here at the top. If you were going to have like, let's just say for an easy example, you have a $4,000 position. I'd probably only enter $1,000 or $2,000 of that right now. And then that way, if it starts to fall down, you can kind of start to average in. Don't be surprised if this stock comes down a little bit and consolidates, because this move straight up has been pretty good out of it. And it is Academy Sports, which is like a sports authority, or like a sports retail type of store. So just be a little careful, because like if inflation stuff starts going up, that could possibly hurt like Academy Sports and possibly like some of those retail stores. So we'll have to see how that ends up working out, but just don't be surprised if it goes down, just given how much it's went up.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how they adjust, like whenever like the economy or the market changes or inflation or whatever, it's all about how these companies can adjust to the time. So it's definitely an interesting play. I like how it's been relatively slow and steady. It's not like some of these stocks that just go from, $12 up to 41 in 2 days, and you know what I mean? So like I like how it's like a nice slow and steady uptrend, and hopefully it pops up for you. And then we have Justin saying MVIS is popping. MVIS. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, it is definitely popping. This looks really good actually for like a day trade. I mean, it's already up 16% though. So I don't know. I mean, it definitely is popping either way.
I'm liking it. Hopefully it can start to break out. Let me look at the 180-day 4 hour to kind of see like what this consolidation level was over here. So yeah, we are kind of breaking out up above that $24 resistance. There's kind of like another one at 25, but Mike, while you were gone, everybody seemed like they were talking about Microvision. Tons of people were wanting to buy it. It did start to go down though over the past couple of days, kind of consolidated. Now it's popping up. So like you said, I think it looks like a good day trade. I'd be really careful swinging it or something like that. But overall, it just has a ton of momentum. And hopefully if it can break like 25 pretty well, it can start to really run.
All right. And then we even have Tesla trying to bounce back up. Then we have Hunter saying Boeing is notorious for flying up and then ripping right back down. Jerry saying I'm scared we start seeing some huge red candles here for no reason. Well, it wouldn't be surprising, Jerry. We've been seeing some, and it looks like it looks like we are for no reason. So yeah, good call, Jerry. We're seeing some red candles for no reason on the SPY.
Yeah, it's coming down now. I wonder if I don't know what's going on right now. Hopefully like the market started to push up to new highs, Mike, and this inflation data came out. The inflation came out at 5%. It was expected at 4.7%. The market ended up going up. Hopefully we don't see a move to the downside now. That would be a really bad fake out if that happened. I don't think it will. I think it's just having a little bit of a downwards moment right now after open. You can see how big this rise really was out of the market. Like we were at 421, rocketed all the way up to 424.63 on the SPY, which is a pretty big move for it. So just don't be surprised if it comes down. And I think if it can hold the support like at 423.50, it'll still be pretty good today. Just keep in mind that a lot of stocks really popped this morning, and some people might be taking profits or something, who knows? And I think that's just going to be the main thing though, is if it can just kind of hold up, I think it'll be okay. And the main move this morning, like already happened. So it's going to take a pretty big move to kind of, I think, get back into that negative sentiment category.
All righty. And then we have, let's see, we have Kay saying also good setup on Shop. What are your thoughts? SHOP. They're not really doing anything. Are you looking at this for like a long-term trade, swing trade, day trade? Let us know. I like it for the long term. I'm not a fan of it for like a day trade or a swing trade right now. Yeah, I mean, if anything, I just like it for the long term. That's it.
On which one?
Shop. SHOP.
Oh, Shopify. SHOP. Yeah, I think so too. Personally, I think that they're up quite a bit. It almost reminds me of Apple, how they've been kind of consolidating for like the past, year almost, kind of like between a range, and hopefully they can start to go up. But this is a little worrisome. They are starting to look like they're turning over to the downside. Looks like there's a pretty solid support down here, like at 1,143. I think that'll be a pretty decent area to watch, but definitely not my favorite setup. I think that there's a lot of better opportunities in the market, like Apple, DraftKings, and other ones like that.
All right. And then let's see. We have Jerry saying QS is about to tank. I strongly dislike this stock. I remember when they were running up back in, what was that, November or December? They went all the way from like $20 all the way up to 132, and like they didn't have any sales or anything. You know what I mean? Like it just went to show you how powerful that EV boom was. So, I really wouldn't doubt it, Jerry. Do you see any sweeps or anything on it? Because, the chart looks just bad in general, and I'm definitely not a fan of the company, at least right now. You know what I mean? Like, if they can, like, prove more of, like, if they can just, like, show more proof out there, like, I would definitely believe in them more. But as of right now, I'm not a big fan of them. I know, Tom, we made a video about this one a couple months ago, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did, and it's definitely one of those crazy companies because like there's definitely a lot of like hype around that sector, and whenever that sector goes, it really likes to run. And QuantumScape has been like one of those like charging stocks, like EV charging, EV battery type of stocks, and people have really thought that this stock was just going to keep ripping to the upside. And if we look at their earnings, you can see they have a negative 2.41 EPS here. Now they have a negative 0.2 EPS. So it seems like it's getting a little bit better. Hopefully they can start to rip up, and come out with some great products and maybe get some good sales coming in, because that's going to be the main thing with them. It really worries me. The chart kind of reminds me of like a CCIV or something like that. And it's just not the best play. Like we can see like more established things like NIO, CHPT, BLNK. You can tell how these things are actually moving up a lot nicer than stocks like QuantumScape, for example. And I think that shows you that the fundamentals of these other companies are a lot better.
Yeah, so either way, like I think that QS has potential. They're just way too like they're like in a way too early stage for me. So, I'll have my eyes on them over the next couple months and even the next couple years, but right now they're definitely not for me. But in terms of just like the EV sector and the EV industry, I'm a huge fan of it. You know what I mean? Like I love NIO, I love Tesla, but either way, and even Ford, Tom, like we were talking about, what was it, last week? Like they're really adapting, and I think that a lot of people are underestimating Ford.
Yeah, they definitely are. GM and Ford have a lot of potential going forward, and Ford is coming out with that new Ford Lightning pickup truck, and tons of people love it. I've been seeing a lot of good comments about it. I'm not saying it's going to do better than the Tesla truck by any means, but either way, there's been a lot of hype around it. I've even seen some really cool commercials Ford's been putting out about it as well. So overall, I mean, I think that there's going to be a lot of good traction with that coming up over the next few years. And whenever you look at Ford on a max weekly chart, I mean, man, you can really see how Ford just been getting destroyed since like the early 2000s, and or I should say the late 90s, around that dot-com bubble. And it looks like Ford is just coming back up to some of those highs. Like, for example, there's a huge resistance around like 18, somewhere between like 18 and $20 on Ford. If we could start to really break out above 20, I think it'll be a really good move. But man, like with all these EV stocks doing well, people they always forget about stocks like Ford, GM, and others. And honestly, this year, like Ford and GM have just straight up killed it, especially Ford, though.
All right, and then Jerry, I know you were talking about some very nasty QS flow. If you don't mind, can you like share that in the live chat or even on Discord? Because I'm very curious, and I always love to look at some of those notable sweeps. So I would really appreciate it if you could share that. If not, that's fine too. Then we have Mason saying, what do you think about DFEN? Think it's going to pull back or keep going? Let's check it out, Tom. DFEN. So they've just been exploding lately. You know what I mean, Tom? Like we look at this max weekly, they're rebounding very nicely. Let me, while you like analyze the technicals, let me get a list of their holdings real quick.
Yeah, I think that there's a good support down here around $20 on DFEN. I think that's going to be the biggest thing to watch for. With Boeing and some of these other stocks starting to pull back, it's not a good thing. I know that they're holding a whole bunch of defense and aerospace stocks like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman or Grumman. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but there's definitely a lot of good like defense stocks in there. A lot of those stocks have been popping up lately, and they could start to pull back. which might worry me about DFEN in the short term, but there is a very solid support here around $20. And I think that once we start to see like the overall, once we start to see most of those stocks anyway start to go up again, I think it'll be great. But whenever we go look at stocks like Lockheed Martin, for example, they've been like triple topping off some of their resistances, just failing to break out about above $400. So I think it's just going to take a little while till we start to break out. But once that breakout starts to occur, like on Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and others, it's going to be great. And like with Boeing, for example, I think we're going to have to make them, solidly break out somewhere above $260, maybe even above their high here around like 275.
Gotcha. So I like the setup. Some of the holdings for this ETF, like you said, Tom, like we have Boeing, we have Raytheon, which is RTX. Another one we have is Lockheed Martin, LMT. We have GD. Let's see. So like those are some of the main ones. NOC, like you said, but some like the top three would be Boeing, RTX, and then like Lockheed Martin. I like the setup. It's just one thing you have to be careful with these leveraged ETFs is they decay kind of like options. So like, these stocks can go up and, this ETF can fall. I like the setup though, and I don't think it's bad if you wanted to hold it. Just know it's a little risky, and if you're up for that, that could be awesome. So I like it though. But I definitely, I think it would also be smart to maybe sell at least like a little bit of your shares, or if you're holding over 100 shares, or if you're holding some sort of call option, you can always turn that into a spread, and that will really, really help you out. So for example, let's say you have the 25 strike calls that expire in let's say you have the 25 strike calls that expire in, let's say, January 21st of 2022. You can just sell like the 30 strike calls right now and get paid $400. You know what I mean? And like no matter what, you make that 400, and it just limits your risk. So either way, it doesn't hurt to put some sort of risk management strategy in place like that. And then we have Vicky saying TWLO for a day trade, please. Let's check it out. TWLO. It looks good on the daily, and then if we look at it intraday, I think it looks pretty good, Vicky. Has resistance right around 324. If we break that, its next major resistance isn't till like 326. So you can have a pretty nice scalp between those levels. But I like the setup overall. Just watch out for that resistance right around 324.
Yeah, and I really like it off the technicals too. It's on the 15-minute, it's bouncing off that 1,000 SMA, staying up above the 100 as well. I could see this one really starting to recover back up, I think, over the next few days. I honestly really like this one, Vicky. Even the weekly doesn't look too bad. And the daily, like Mike said, looks really good. I like how they bounced off of those supports and are starting to go up now. And I think that there's a solid resistance up there around $400. And before then, though, there's another one around like 356. You could say somewhere between like 350 to 356. So just be a little careful with that. But I think it looks like a pretty solid setup, but definitely get time on it. The Twilio is definitely an up and down type of stock. You can see even on the way up, it goes up, goes down, up, down a lot. So just be a little careful with that. Definitely get some time on it, I think, if you wanted to do that. If you were doing a quick day trade or a quick scalp, definitely, I think, make it break out above like 325. I think it could definitely see some resistance there in the middle of the day.
All right. And then we have A saying, is the Nasdaq and Dow's rise today sustainable? So I just checked. Let's say we look at QQQ, right? Because they're up a little bit more. QQQ is up around 0.8%. And the movement on the QQQ today is in the 67th percentile. Basically, what that means is like while QQQ is having a good day, it's not like this is the best day it's ever had. So because of that, I would say it is sustainable. Intraday, they are pulling back a little bit right now. And, basically like this can pull all the way back to 338 or 339 or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is the movement that we've seen so far today isn't something that we have never seen before. Like I said, it's only in the 67th percentile. So there have been many other days in the past where we have seen movement a lot greater than the movement we've seen today.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And whenever I'm looking at the daily chart, you can even tell guys like just look at this little green candle over here for today, and you can see how there's been a lot of definitely a lot of bigger days in the past. And some of these days were on days where there probably wasn't even like huge catalysts coming out. QQQ really likes to run as long as a lot of these tech stocks are flying up. QQQ should keep flying up as well. The main concern today, though, is like you said, it's starting to pull back. And a lot of people have been kind of talking about that. The SPY is starting to pull back a little bit as well. Not a lot per se. Hopefully it holds this 423.50 support. This has been a great level for the past few days, and hopefully it can kind of hold this and then start to go up.
Alrighty, and then with the next comment, we have Roberto saying, "Hello guys, good morning. Watching the Twitter trade. How's that playing out?" So TWTR, what are you seeing, Tom?
Yeah, it's coming down today, but the overall market's still up. Still kind of holding the good support. There's a good support here around $59 on Twitter, even a more defined one down here around 58. Whenever you go to the 1-year daily chart, there's a very solid blue trend line that it's kind of been holding as it's been going to the upside. I'm definitely going to be looking for that to hold, as well as those supports that I was talking about. If they don't hold, then, of course, definitely we might have to change these positions around, but I think it still looks like a pretty decent setup for the longer term, especially if the overall market keeps going up, like the QQQ and everything like that. So hopefully it can keep going up. I'm definitely going to be like looking at the news and everything like that to make sure there's no catalysts or anything crazy like that. But overall, I think if the SPY can start to go back up today in the overall market, I think it'll help Twitter and help like maybe Facebook too kind of go back up. So I don't think it's a terrible setup yet. It's just kind of been flat over the past day or couple days, I should say. And I think it's just kind of like waiting for like a big catalyst to kind of move up off of. And it is kind of bad to see it down today with the market up, but at the same time, it's holding these supports and stuff. So it's still not terrible yet.
All right, and then let's see. We have Click saying, "I think we see a pullback today." Yeah, the market's pulling back a little bit intraday. It's still up a decent amount though. Overall, we have Hunter saying the SPY VWAP is at $423.55. So yeah, it looks like we're pulling back on to that level. D2 saying 56 call on AMC that expires tomorrow. Am I hurting? So I would assume so. You're a little bit far out of the money, and it's a weekly. Yeah, you need a really big pop out of AMC tomorrow, probably to just break even. It goes to show you how expensive these options can be when we have setups like this. Yeah, I mean it definitely looks extremely risky right now. Thinkorswim only has a 25% chance of this option expiring in the money tomorrow. So I don't know. I mean, it's really risky. Over like the past couple of days, this option went from like 2,600 down to like 180. So I don't know. I unless you're really bullish on AMC, I would definitely consider cutting this.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to take a big move out of AMC. And AMC is not setting up terrible today. I think it looks like a pretty decent setup to the upside. Like it might continue to go up. It might not. But personally, I wouldn't be playing it. But it seems like a pretty decent setup today, intraday, at least for a run. That doesn't mean it will do that, though. But as we start to go up, there's a solid resistance up here around 60. I've been trying to like make it break that for the past like 3 or 4 days. It's just failed to break out above that. So I would say make it break 60 before getting in, but he already has the calls, which isn't a good sign. Definitely let us know when you got him. I think that's going to be a big sign to know, like, did you enter him this morning? Did you enter him yesterday, like it closed, or did you enter him a couple days ago? I think that's going to be a big factor as well. And if you entered him a couple days ago, unfortunately, the play's probably over.
Yeah. So with the next comment, we have Kay saying, bought LULU July 350 strike calls. Let's check out LULU. LULU, it is holding its ground. I actually like the setup.
Yeah, LULU has been actually running pretty well the past couple of days. Well, consolidating, I should say, but it's running up well today. And whenever we look at the daily, it looks very good, actually. I'm liking how it kind of recovered back up. And there's a solid long-term resistance at $400. But yeah, it looks very good here on the daily. Like we're seeing a green candle after those 2 red consolidation days, I think we might start to like come up tomorrow, maybe up to like 338 or 340 resistance. I think that'll be a pretty good move out of LULU. And I don't know what type of catalysts are coming out with LULU right now. And I wonder like what we're going to see, over the next few days. But obviously there's a pretty good intraday resistance here around like 332.70. So look out for that today. But I really like it moving up all off of these technicals and seems like a decent little setup.
All right, and then we have Sean asking about Tesla calls. So one thing to watch out with Tesla is normally they are expensive if they are a good quality option, which isn't bad. It's just something to keep in mind. I like them right now. I think that they're at a pretty good level, and you can actually get them at a decent discount intraday. It definitely is a risky play, so definitely is a risky play. I think it's a good setup, though. Not amazing, not great, but I think it's good.
Yeah, the good news is that Tesla really held that support down there like around 540. And it really bounced off of that and went back to the upside, maybe like right around 550. But man, it was good to see it hold that. And like we've kind of been talking about, I think it's going to depend on like if Michael Burry is like still in his short position or like for example, like what ends up going on with Tesla, because who knows, like maybe the semiconductor stuff will start to hurt them or something like that. But they are down quite a bit from their highs. Personally, I like them for shares right now. I think it's a good time to possibly get shares or maybe to sell like some cash secure puts on Tesla if you go for far enough out of the money here. But I think that the main thing is going to be is like, with the stuff coming up over the next couple months, is it going to hold the $540 support, 550 support? That's going to be my main question. And also, can it break back above this trend line? I don't know if it will be able to or not, but hopefully we start to see a really good catalyst and maybe a good jump back out of Tesla, because it's been pretty unfortunate, off of those $900 highs to just see it tanking like this. And hopefully it goes up. But if I was going to get shares or something, I would like average in right now. And then if it falls down, I would just average in a little bit more.
All right, and then we have Roberto saying the Twitter 60 strike calls for July 16th right now at $250. Is it a buying opportunity? So Tom, I'll let you answer this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I don't think it's the best entry right now. It's good that you're getting them while they're a little bit lower. It's unfortunate to see this movement to the downside though, like we're seeing. But like I said, if it can hold that 59 to 58 support, I think it'll be a pretty decent play still. It just depends on like how we see the movement tomorrow. I don't think I'd get shaken out by this movement today at all. You can see a couple days ago it opened, Twitter just tanked off and then came right back up the next couple days. So I'm not worried about this movement at all. If you get shaken out from this, that would be a pretty bad paper hand scenario if it started to really fly up off of here. So it's not too big of a move yet. I think it'll be pretty decent. Just watch out for it though. It is red today, while a lot of these other stocks and the overall market was initially green, which isn't the best of signs. So just watch out, watch for the 59 support, 58 support. I think that with it being a good opportunity right now, I think it's not the worst, but it's not the best. I think if you wait for it to maybe hit like 59 or 58, you might be able to get it for a little bit cheaper before we start to see that rise back up. That's what I might do. But if we start to see like a big run up above 60 or something like that, then it might be a good time to just grab them then. But obviously I think waiting and maybe just waiting a couple of days to see how that consolidation goes would be the way to go, because you might be able to get it a lot lower. Like if Twitter just stays between 60 and 58 for like 1 or 2 more days, you might be able to get it for 230 or 220 instead of 250.
All righty, and then we have a good question from first we have a question from Blaze asking about ERJ. I think they look decent for a short-term trade, but then R said, I know long and short SMA crossing can be indicative of potential movement. Does the VWAP play into that as well? So this is a very good question, and there are a lot of ways to kind of approach this. If you're looking at just long and short SMA crossings and VWAP, like just those, most of the time you're not going to see any huge predictive power. You need some other data sources or experience or something else. I've done a lot of back testing with various different SMA crossings and VWAP and all that stuff. And all I have to say is you need more info than just like those three data streams. Like you have to have like either like past experience or like some other input data to truly have predictive power. So great question there, and they definitely can be used for to help you predict things, but you can't just use those.
Yeah, and I'll say that like whenever you're looking at like SMAs and stuff, honestly, like I don't even look for them to cross. I look for them just to bounce. So if you're playing it to cross, I mean, that's a good way to do it, I guess. But like for example, like if we're looking at Palantir right now, you can see how there's like the purple 100 SMA. It comes up and just touches it and goes down, touches it, goes down. But that's also right off of number one, the $25 resistance, which has been pretty big as well. So you could argue the fact that was it the resistance or was it the SMA? Probably the resistance. And there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Like Mike said, you have to look at tons of other things. And I think that the best thing to look at is to learn price action. I think that that's the best way to go. If you can learn candlestick setups, price action and stuff like that, I think that's the best. Obviously, SMAs help a little bit along with VWAP. They're good visuals on the chart, but I think that the best way to look at it is just straight up price action. Normally, if you're really good at price action, you're going to be pretty good at predicting the overall movement of the market. You might not be able to predict like a quick like 5-minute play or something like that, but for like a macroeconomic sense, like you'll be able to like look at the SPY and say like, okay, the SPY is up a lot today. We're seeing a lot of these good bullish candles coming out of the SPY. It's in a bullish formation. There's a bullish hammer setup. There's a whole bunch of different types of like candlestick setups and things like that. So I think that's the better way to go, Mike. I'm not sure if you agree with me or not, but there's definitely a lot of data to look at, and there's thousands of indicators out there. So definitely look them up and find the ones that work for you.
Yep. And then we have Hunter saying, look at moving averages as areas of value and then help to determine trends. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to approach this question. And we have Jerry and Hunter talking about how AAL is getting clapped. I know it's just kind of tanking, but Tom, do you have any last minute stocks or anything you're watching for the rest of the day?
Yeah, I mean, these airlines are pretty bad. I'm still going to be watching the SPY. I mean, I've been kind of like waiting for it to still pull up. We're actually consolidating right on this 423.50 support right now, and we're also right on the 100 SMA. So that might be a pretty good sign if it can start to bounce here and give us a little bit of a good visual. I think that with the type of movement that we see today out of the SPY so far, I think that we will start to see another move back to the upside. I don't see it just, tanking off out of nowhere. I think that if it was going to do that, it would have done it whenever that inflation data came out. I think that since we started to break up and we broke all-time highs, it's going to still be good for the market, even though it's pulling back over the past 20 minutes or so. I don't think that's too big of a deal. Hopefully we can still start to hold this 423.50 support though, or else it might start to look pretty bad. But personally, I would have thought that if the market was going to go down, it would have went down whenever that 5% inflation got reported.
Alrighty, well, thank you guys so much for watching the stream. Thank you guys so much for asking awesome questions, and we'll have another video for you guys later today. But other than that, have